Hello, it's John Binney here. I'm your psychic spiritual mentor who lives in Scotland, and I'm excited to take you through the predictions and answering your questions that you've been posting. And I'd like the predictions with the intention to take us through to towards the end of October. So the next 3 months up to about the 20th of October. Today is the 20th of July. And I'm excited to work with you today. Thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Thank you so much. And more of you are joining all the time. Please say hello in the comments. I love receiving your comments and working through them and meeting you. So thank you so much. And tell me where you're from. Tell me what resonates with you about the videos, and also what questions you have. You can ask questions in any of my videos. Just add it in the comment. It doesn't need to be one of these predictions videos, and I'll collate them and then get through as many as I can in the next video. Okay, so let's get started. And as always, it's important for us to first of all create a safe space. And this is to make sure that everything in particular that I'm receiving, but also what you're opening your heart to receive, will be nice and clear and pure. And you feel in your heart the souls, the beings that are bringing forwards this information to you, and that you love and trust them. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll create a safe space first of all. So just take a deep breath in through the nose and breathe out what no longer serves. Your highest good, nice and loud. And once more, breathe in through the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out any remaining low vibration energy that no longer serves you, nice and loud. And continue to breathe deeply and calmly. And from the center of your heart, extend a cord of light up and connect into the highest dimension of the source of love of this universe, all the way up in the highest frequency of the universe you can imagine. Imagine yourself, your cord traveling all the way up to the highest stars, the highest nebula, the highest aspects of this universe, connecting in your light cord into the source of love, feeling that oneness, unity, and unconditional love. Remain connected into source and bring your attention back down to the center of your heart. And from the center of your heart, this time go downwards and reach down your cord of light down through the root of your spine and deep into the earth, all the way down to the very core of Mother Earth and her soul, Mother Gaia. And there, connecting your light cord into the crystalline heart, the fifth dimensional crystalline heart of Mother Earth, Mother Gaia. We send her so much love at this time, and just bring your attention back up through the root of your spine into your heart once more. And open up your heart now to connect deeply into Source above and Mother Gaia below, and this golden light from the center of your heart, expand it out to surround you about 2 meters out to each side, above and below, in front and behind you, surrounding all aspects of you, including your aura, your auric field. And set the intention that only energies and entities with your permission, your highest good love and compassion, can see you, access you, or exist within this space or within you. All other energies and entities must leave immediately. Invite in your guides, your higher self, your archangels, Source and Gaia. Invite in your ancestors. And we set the intention today to request assistance with guidance, with messages, assistance with any clearings and healings, and to help us integrate and to take these practices forwards after today's session and throughout our lives. And I also will create a protective space around all of us who watch this video. And I invite in our guides, our higher selves, archangels, Source, and Gaia. Okay, good. Well, we're going to get started, and I'd love to, first of all, work through your questions. So one of them from the first is from Pixie Withrow, 5280. It says, "Hi, John. I would like to see a video with more information about cloud formations." Now, this is a video request, but I wanted to, in part, not forget about it because I already have. But here it is, Pixie, right at the start. We saw in yesterday's video as I took a walk and prepared for the storms, the rainstorms in the UK, these dark clouds coming down. And we heard this beautiful message, which is that dark clouds hold dark energy, low vibration energy. And the purpose is to release this through rain into the earth and for us to be able to clear and release anything, to purge that energy deep into the earth, and to ask Mother Gaia, soul of Mother Earth, to transmute, to alchemize, to transform that energy into energy that can be used for other beings to consume, such as plants, crops, insects, animals, and as she transmutes it and goes through her own natural cycles, that energy is then converted back up into high vibrational beings, such as ourselves. And let me see if there's any further guidance for us on this, because it seemed important to bring it up in the questions and answers video. I'm just asking my spirit guide, Maya, who's an earth elemental. And she's saying there is more to come in today's video about clouds and air elementals. And she's saying, keep paying attention to the skies. This is because when we ignore our skies, we in part deny some of our creative reflections, if you like. So our skies are a reflection. When you look up to the sky, and it's no coincidence that as you look up, your heart your chest often goes out and starts to shift up more towards the sky, that as you do that, you're actually allowing your own energy, your heart energy, to be projected up into the sky. And as that happens, it then is reflected back down. So you start to then witness a reflection of your heart. So pay attention to the shapes of clouds that you see above you. And it's a huge area that you can see in the sky, right? The clouds look for ships. You're going to see a lot more activity in the sky. And this is as we raise our vibrations up, as we reach more into happiness and purge these lower vibrations, fear and shame and anxiety, as a collective, as a planet, and individually, we then start to see these, I keep doing this with my hands, we start to see more exciting revelations in the sky. So yeah, definitely, feel into that, those reflections. I would love to do, Pixie, for your video, something like a camera, do something more interactive, do it outside, have my camera set up to the sky and to interact. So thank you for that. And just before I go on to the next one, so I'm just taking a note. So the times as I go, oh, look at that, we're on nine minutes, is that there's this general message. I'm just typing general message for us all, which is my meditation message today from my guides is that this world, it's fundamentally important for us to feel into this current world does not serve the highest good of all. And by that, Gaia, in particular, Mother Gaia, means that the configuration of the earth, and this includes the countries, the land, the tectonic plates, you see these changes already happening. So it's already happening, right? We're already shifting. We're going through, earth changes. We're going through tremors and shifts in our tectonic plates, and then the volcanoes and storms and a lot more. And also, we've heard in previous videos about Mother Gaia and her teams of elementals, of local elementals targeting specific areas, the way the world is currently configured, is running, is not serving the highest good of all. And this is why there's such changes happening. There's such a big purge happening. And as the sun, and we come on to this later, the sun works more with the earth because they're both conscious beings. As they work more together, they're constantly changing the earth for the highest good of all. So the message is very much an ask. I'm just getting this lovely ringing in my right ear, confirmation. There's an ask of all of us, including me, is to go with these storms, to ride these storms. These storms, both below ground, on the ground, and above the ground in our skies, these changes are creating a world that has potential to serve the highest good of all. So every single living thing on this planet, to serve as many as possible in and for their highest good. So the more we can keep out of our fear, catch ourselves when we're feeling fear, ask what those lessons are that fear is trying to show us, and release those fears, and concentrate more and more each time in our love, this will really, really help reduce the friction of the changes from a world which no longer serves our highest good to a world that does. Exciting message, right? And I hope some of that, is that message is trending through this theme is trending through my videos. And if it's ever not, let me know, because I feel it's a really powerful, beautiful message. Okay, we're at just over 12 minutes, and I'd like to go into the next question. So this is from Intuitive Reflections. And hello, Intuitive Reflections. You said, "Thank you for your guidance. Love listening to you." Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. Do your guides have anything to say about solar flash or micro nova type event? The short answer is yes. So let me ask. I'm going to open up the question to all my spirit guides. So my team of currently, there's 8 active spirit guides out of a larger team. And also opening up the question to Source and Gaia, our sun. Okay, so my spirit guide, Mantis spirit guide, Marita, she's also part of the Galactic Federation. She's saying, she just wanted to add a little bit of context, is that this is a common event. So the term solar flash, or she's showing me this more of a pulse. So it's a pulsing and a releasing of energy. And the word pulse feels more like it kind of goes, if I'm to make the sound of it, kind of goes whoom, like a whoom, instead of just, just like a really fast flash. It's more of a pulsing. So there's a slow start and accelerates and then reduces. Okay. And let me also ask the sun about this, because we can ask sun and the beautiful soul. I call the sun Ra, or Ra energy. Yeah, the sun is, I'm just being shown a whole lot at once. So the sun is playing catch up, right? It's playing catch up with Earth. The sun and the Earth, not to scale. And what's happening is the Earth has been rising up in vibration. So Mother Gaia has been doing her very best to rise up in different frequencies. So she's helping shift and create this new Earth to help serve our highest good of all. And it's to respond also to all our desires to have a happier, more joyful, loving world. The sun has been holding back because they both know that as soon as the sun reaches back up to the same level of frequency as the Earth, again, the Earth pushes up. So there's this kind of climbing up, like there's climbing up the ascension ladder. We're climbing up the ascension ladder. Oh, and by the way, you might be able to hear Patch, my Papillon, in the corner there, scratching and digging a hole in our rug. So what I saw at the very core of the sun, at the very core of the sun, is what the sun is doing is receiving ascension waves. And I'm going to come on to more about this because I know there's a question about so-called junk DNA within us. So we're going to hear more about ascension waves. But for now, just imagine that they're waves flowing through the universe that are going to that are supporting our ascension. What's happening is the sun is just starting to no longer hold back. So the core of the sun is currently tight. And as that gently opens up, so as the heart chakra of the sun opens up, what will happen is you get this kind of pulse effect, this pulse of energy that comes across to Earth. And I was shown these beautiful rainbow colors, so beautiful auroras coming our way. You will be told, right? This is a John Binney guaranteed prediction, right? That I guarantee at least one person will be trying to tell you that this is a fearful event and that it's the end of the world. And as we just heard from this general message, we are in a world that is currently configured to not serve the highest good of all. So know that for some people, and if I personally, John's opinion, if I'm to make a guess, I would say people that choose to, the elites of the planet who choose to, control and hoard and greed the 99% of our wealth and abundance, and give the 1% to the rest of us, 99% of the population, that these are the people that will have the biggest challenges. They will suffer the most through these ascension waves, because the ascension waves are to help us raise our vibrations. So if you're a happy, healthy human and you're doing your very best just to live your best life and to help yourself and help your loved ones and help others, then it's going to be a much easier ride for you. So let's just say that there will be some fake propaganda, fear propaganda about the sun's activity and the sun's event. Really feel into your heart. I know that some of this is fear of the unknown. Like it's hard to know what this is going to be like, what it's going to feel like. Imagine in 5 years' time, you're going to look back at these times and say, I am so glad that these solar flashes or pulses happened, because they really shook things up. They helped shake up this earth. Even the concept of 1% of the population, and if you do the maths, it's not that many people, right? There's not that many people in the world that are hoarding the abundance, 99% of the financial abundance, at least, of the world. Even that, that needs to change, right? We're all equal, and we all, including me, need to get over our greed and our hoarding, right? We need to really step into equality, love, and compassion, forgiveness, and really help ourselves as a human race and as a planet become more equal. And there is more than enough abundance for all of our needs, but not our greeds. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure there's more to come. There's more specifics we could do. I'm sure we could do an entire video just on, maybe I'll even do some diagrams or some AI art. That would be a lot of fun. I did share yesterday the Magnetic Sun song. So sometimes I forget that I've been doing this prediction work for many years, because I'd ask my guides, for the last 7-8 years, I've been asking my spirit guides for messages. And so these messages are manifested as songs, and they're all on YouTube, right? They're all part of this 2,700 plus songs. The songs go back the furthest. And around that time, it was 2019, right? I was writing loads of songs about the sun and the sun's changes and creating these beautiful, colorful videos including what we'd see and feel. So I hope that, one of the challenges we have about these changes is just feeling into what's that going to be like? what's the world going to be like? What are the events themselves going to be visually like, feel like, sound like? And before we move on to the next question, I'd also say that when the solar events are happening, it's not just one, right? These are multiple pulses that will happen. That as these pulses of energy are released, the more your heart is open and softened and open, you'll be able to receive more and more loving energy. And we're going to come on to a lot more about that. So abundance is yours for free. The only thing you have to do is work on facing your fears and releasing your fear and anxiety and shame and pain, and face them. Find out what are the lessons, what are the actions you need to take within those fears. And as you open up your heart, and we can do this just now, let's take a deep breath in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth nice and loud. And just open up your heart gently, imagining your heart is a beautiful rose flower. And you're opening up the petals of the rose as you face the sun. And as you breathe in through the nose, you're expanding your heart chakra nice and wide. And receiving those beautiful rainbow colors of the sun, as much as you can comfortably take and sustainably take. And then make sure your heart, the cord from your heart down through the base of your spine, is anchored deep into the earth, all the way down to the heart of Mother Earth if you choose. Good. And this is it. So when you observe these solar flashes, personally, I don't think it's going to make any difference being inside or outside. And even those that try to hide from these, that are, many of the elite, cabal, Illuminati, there's all these different terms that, are used for those that control, in particular, our financial wealth of the world, know that even they've tried to build like underground bases, but they know they can't shield themselves. Why do you think they care so much about keeping us all in fear and trying to control us? What if they could just, ride these storms without being affected? There is no escape. The ascension is not something you can escape. You get to choose whether you go up or down in the ascension, but the effects, we all get to experience. And all our souls chose that to come here to Earth at this time. So it doesn't matter if you're inside or down below or in a building or out in nature. When you experience these pulses, the activity from the sun, face the sun. Again, it doesn't matter if you're facing or not, but it's more of a conscious connection, and just allow that practice of opening up your heart and just breathe in through your nose. And in those times of the intense transmissions from the sun energetically, you will feel it. You will feel it in your heart. And so, just breathe in as much as you feel comfortable. And then when you've had enough, just place your hand back over your heart and say thank you. And then you don't close your heart, but just kind of bring it to a natural rest again, just like we do with our lungs when we're breathing in big breaths and breathing out. Okay, we're up on, this is good, 24 minutes. The next question. This is from Advance Evolve. Fantastic. I love your name. I'm just going to get some water. Just give me a second. Okay, so Advance Evolve, thank you for your question. Hi, John. Thank you for your wonderful content. Thank you. I wonder if you could ask Guy about craft I've been seeing around the sun in Australia. I accidentally filmed 2 ships one day hovering above the sun and decided to video the sun again. The slowed down playback regularly capture white ships darting fast across the sky. Perhaps they're satellites. I would love to know more if it's something you can ask. Thanks again, John. You're doing a wonderful job. And a nice big kiss. Thank you. Okay, so let's ask this question to my guides. Okay, and my Lyran guide, Emenshal, and I will introduce more of my spirit guides. I'm just becoming aware of some of them, but okay, some of them are just saying, just let my lion being like guide from Lyra answer this question first of all. So these craft that you're seeing around the sun, advance, evolve, these ships, so this is really lovely. So, and I'm sure I've seen, if you go on YouTube, you'll see lots of different craft interacting with the sun. My Lyran guide, Emenshal, says these ships that are interacting with the sun and that you filmed above the sun are helping tune the sun. And they're showing me visual, like lots of different visuals about what humans do to tune their health. And one of them was an Olympic athlete, running on a what do you call it? I was going to say treadmill. So that they're running an exercise and they've got all these electrodes and stuff attached to them, and they're having their heart rate monitored, etc. And so this is very much the sun going through big changes, and these ships are there to help support and fine tune and to help smoothen out the changes. It feels wonderful. In fact, I know, I'm sure I've heard Stephen Burns, shout out again to Stephen Burns. I'm sure I've heard him say that the belief is that our sun is kind of middle-aged, whereas what I was being shown is much more of a teenager. So this feeling of, I'm going through puberty, like, oh, I'm changing my body. That's how I was when a teenager. And as that change is happening, these ships are coming into the orbit of the sun, and they're helping do these little tweaks, some measurements, some helping release some of the energy, and really help focus these bigger events. So nothing is being increased or amplified, which is good news, right? Because I'm sure it feels like we've got more than enough of that. It's more to help stop things like suddenly building up and bursting, more to help with smooth and steady, and help the sun, rise up and down with these sine wave shape ascension waves. And I did, this is a bit of a side note. In fact, no, I'll come on to this. I was going to talk a bit more about ascension waves, but we'll come on to it a bit later in another question. And then you also mentioned some other ships, like slowing down regularly capture white ships darting fast across the sky. Maybe they're satellites. So let me ask about this. My Lyran guide, Emenshal, says there's a lot happening in the skies. A lot. There's a lot we don't really know about. So, because I bought a very expensive night vision camera, not sponsoring this video. It's called the Aurora Pro, and it's a Psionics camera, and it sees better, much better than my human eyes, or at least these two eyes. I feel that it helps me confirm what I see in my third eye, perceive in my third eye on camera. And so we see these cameras are able to pick up broader frequency ranges, but you can also do this with your naked eye, and you can do it with your own phone or whatever. Keeping an eye on your skies, especially at night, there's a whole mix of things we're being shown. So one kind of category, if you like, are the Earth created, human created craft and various satellites and planes, etc. And the advice is to feel this in your heart. Get used to, train your heart, ask and train your mind. So you're asking, what I'm looking at right now, is that a star? Is it a planet? Is that thing there a satellite? And ask your heart. Your heart can tell you, can give you all the answers you need. And so ask a yes or no. Is it a satellite? Yes or no? Is it plane? Yes or no? Is it made by a human? Yes or no? Is it piloted by a human? Yes or no? And then there's also this category of craft that we consciously don't yet believe or know are human. And these are a whole mix of dark projects, stealth projects that different countries have been creating that we're not fully aware of. Even the countries across different countries, there's not full disclosure or awareness of these. And there's an interaction with some of these, with some of the extraterrestrial, including Galactic Federation ships. So what you're also seeing, and I've witnessed this myself and asked my heart and my guides when I've witnessed some of this activity in the sky, is we're also seeing a kind of a defense-like behavior, trying to stop the masses, us, from really seeing and witnessing and having ships come in too close. Bearing in mind that these technologies allow these ships to jump through space and time. So you can go from here in the third dimension up into the fourth, where to us down here, they'd kind of pop out of reality into the fourth dimension and come back over here in the third dimension. So it's hard to, even to develop technologies that track all of this influx of extraterrestrial craft. And even our dark projects, our space defenses, trying to block them, it makes it very difficult. And there is an increasing acceptance, and you'll have seen this, right? The governments across the world have made no attempts to hide this. They are funding space projects, right? They are funding space defense, and they've been forced, due to the huge, like, trillions and trillions of pounds and dollars that they're putting into it, that are causing them to have to talk about it publicly. And so that now that they're talking publicly, at very least, about what they're investing in it, that you can start to feel that this is because there is an inevitability that our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters are coming into our atmosphere. They're coming down to our planet. And look out for more. There is more coming. One of you did ask, and they are a Skywatcher. They haven't mentioned their name here in a question, so I won't say their name publicly, but they are fantastic. And I'd encourage you to watch other people's sky watching videos and feel with your heart what's there. There's this really beautiful experience of, we hear that they want to come closer. These ships want to come closer down to us, and they will come closer to us. And by closer, I mean a mile above you, half a mile above you, 10 feet above you, in your garden, in your yard, in your field, in your street. These ships are our galactic brothers and sisters, our extraterrestrial family. And for those of us that are opening up our hearts and asking to meet them, this is starting to happen, right? So they're going to come down much closer. So, but if you're closed up in fear and you're scared of what you're seeing, they won't come closer. Or at very least, the responsible ones won't come closer. Okay, hope that helps. We're now at 34 minutes. Okay, so this is for, I'm probably going to mispronounce your name, but it says, is it Manny Argos Camp? 1149. So hello, thank you for your question. Hi, I'm from the Netherlands. What a beautiful place. Thanks for everything you do for us. Is Planet X or Nibiru close to the sun and therefore giving us all these weather changes? Okay, let me ask this question. So, although this isn't in your question, just to give a little bit of context about Nibiru, this is the name that my Lyran guide Emenchal is describing, along with my Mantis guide Marita. They're describing what they're calling Nibiru as a dwarf twin, so a brown dwarf star, which is a twin. It's a binarial twin of our sun. And they're saying it's currently quite far out. It does go on a cyclical. I'm seeing 22,000 years. Is the 22,000 years the Mayan calendar? You guys will have to let me know the cycles that we saw there. It's currently really far out. What's also really fascinating is, and it's because of its difference in density, and by density I mean vibration, and therefore vibration I mean dimension. It is on its way out of the dimension that we are rising up into. So everyone on Earth gets to choose their own individual ascension paths, right? And their own rate of ascension, whether they ascend or not. Everyone chooses all these things. Right now, if you're anything close to attracted to this video out of love and excitement, and you're feeling these high vibrations, likely the dimension that you're rising up into is up into higher aspects of the third and into fourth and into fifth, that you're on your way up. And I know we're not perfect, including me, up and down each day, but like a tide, we're rising up, if that's what you choose. Nibiru is not, it's much more fixed. And so Nibiru as a brown dwarf twin of our sun is in a not completely dead, but like total asleep standby mode. Almost, I'm being told, almost a coma-like state. And it's also very far out. So it's not affecting us at this time. It's not affecting us when we're in our higher vibrations. It is on its return journey home. So it's just coming back now on, but it takes thousands of years to come back to anything close to here. And so simply no, but any effects, I mean, planetary bodies of these scales have huge effects in themselves, even at distance, right? Reminds me of that quantum physics term, spooky at a distance. There is still that binarial interconnectedness between the sun and Nibiru, its twin. So, but it only affects the lower vibrations, the lower vibration three-dimensional Earth. So, in short, no to the current challenges that we experience as a majority of effect. It does have some very small effect. And it's almost a complete no for those of us that are raising our vibrations. And the more the sun and the earth raise the vibrations, the less of the existence of Nibiru becomes. Thank you for your question. Okay, we just passed 38 minutes. So, Beach Baby, publicly subscribe to you. Yay, thank you. And you said, new subscriber here from East London, South Africa. Patch loves walks. Thank you. You've all been saying Patch loves walks. And he does. I should probably stop saying it because I've just taken him out. He'll want another, which is a message I gave in a previous video to check to see if you've watched the whole video, you can leave a message. I'll leave one at the end of this video as well. I think it's a really lovely touch. It's so lovely to give to you as a message and then for you to repeat back to me. So you've said, do you see anything happening here for us in sunny SA, South Africa? Thank you for what you do for all of us. Fantastic. Okay, 1 second. I'm getting so much through. Okay, so let me ask my spirit guides and Mother Gaia as well, the sun, the archangel source as well, this question. So there are a range of archaeological discoveries that are taking place now. And the theme of these are that Earth's history and the human, as we know it, as we would consider our own history, is much older than we realize. And in South Africa, there are sites that date back and being shown to over 250,000 years ago. And for example, I've been shown a few times that the current pyramids that we see in the Giza pyramids in Egypt, they are around 40,000, 45,000 years old. Now, this is in context. I really resonate with the term that we are a human race with amnesia. We've forgotten so much about our past. And we've been through these huge cycles. We rise up in these big golden ages in civilization, and then we collapse, and then we rise up and we collapse. And so knowing about these previous civilizations that are really very highly advanced, we're about to come onto crystals, which is exciting, so we can talk a bit about that. These are some of the discoveries that will start to be shown more in South Africa. And this is, and I'm just going to touch on very briefly some of South Africa's, more modern history, if you like, which is the divisions that we saw. And I'm sure like across the world it still exists in places. The divisions, us being judged and treated differently for different, colors of eyes, colors of skin, ages, origins, social status, like all these ways that we treat each other as a human race differently, that a lot of this was this big wounding left open from our ancestors that date back to around 250,000 years ago. And so now's the time that as we've begun to make progress, and we're making progress every day, right? You and I, all of us, the more we can connect with each other across every, despite any change, and to really celebrate the difference between each of us, with open hearts, we're connecting more with each other and feeling that love energy, feeling that we all have friends, families, loved ones, dreams, fears. There's all these things we share in common as themes, but we're all beautifully unique, especially on the outside. That these archaeological discoveries in South Africa are going to start to really help us as a human race rethink some of our history and the cycles of patterns that we've seen. I also saw AI, and I know AI has been doing some work in other areas of the world. So people have been using, advanced artificial intelligence techniques to be able to decipher many of the, hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, messages from our ancestors. As these become unraveled, or at least an interpretation of them, a prediction of them starts to be shared, that as these techniques are more explored, we start to feel into more about our past, more expansion. Now, just because you've also been asking about Earth, many people ask about Earth changes and the, storms and solar activity, etc. I'm just going to extend your question to that about South Africa. So I've just been shown a range of things. One is more bubbling up to the surface. So there's a constant movement of, I describe it as Mother Earth does this thing. There's some term for this, right? Maybe you could add it in the comments for me, someone, is that ancient artifacts, for example, things, stones, objects under the ground often like work their way up to the surface. And so it takes a long time, but many, many years. We're going to see more of this, more artifacts surfacing themselves. And also, now that our technology is getting better, we don't need to look down. We don't need to look at our feet. We can look deeper with, with LiDAR and other technologies. Okay. And I was also shown some activity off the south coast of South Africa. more towards the South Pole, and I'm just seeing more turbulence in the ocean there, and it doesn't directly affect South Africa, but it does, raise. I can see some people feeling fearful of what's happening, and this is related to, we have later questions about the potential pole shifts, pole tilting, etc. But yeah, other than that, and there is some volcanic activity. It feels, I keep feeling that volcanic activity is happening everywhere across the world at some point. So just being aware of some of your biggest volcanoes. Oh, very interesting. That's really lovely. So Guy is saying that with her elementals, she's saying that there will be releasing of energy through the next 3 months in the larger, more active volcanoes. So this is the happy path. The Guy is saying she takes the largest, safest volcanoes and allows them to release. I'm just feeling it in my heart now, just the releasing of energy out. So, imagine if you had a highway and, or we call it motorway here in the UK, and it was closed just now, but you wanted to safely release as many cars as possible down the highway. That's what you do. You'd open up the highway, all these lanes, to allow it to more freely flow through. However, if you didn't have a highway, it was more constrained, like a single dirt track, it would just be carnage, right? You would just open up you send 1,000 cars down a dirt track, is so much harder and so much more destructive than sending them down a highway. So these are gentle releases, and yes, some increase in activity. We're going to see more of that through August, which is lovely. So thank you for your question. Okay, and we're at 47 minutes. So this is a question from, I'll just, Sile Maron 5859, and you're saying, interesting about Gaia and gold. I'm also wondering how Gaia feels about crystal mining. I collected a lot of crystals and it helps me energetically, but realize that mining can damage natural habitats, especially lately when the demand of crystals has gone through the roof. Okay, this is lovely. And when I read this, I did get some initial downloads about it. So let's ask a bit more. So I'm asking Guy, and also just opening up the question to the other beautiful beings I invited in. Wow, that's lovely. So the very first thing, this is the message I got before. Very first thing I was shown is that Guy has been preparing with a birthing of crystals and preparing for today's demand, and that in fact the supply has far outweighed the demand until recently. And she says that during these golden ages that we've had in the past, including way back 250,000 years ago, one of the reasons we don't find, electronics like my earbuds here, just picking up the nearest electronics, those electronics never existed in our history because we used crystals. He says, picking up his labradorite. I have others. Please don't send me any crystals. I'm always busy getting rid of them. I just keep a very small number. I just have 4, and that's it. That's it, John. Just like I have just 4 guitars. That's it, John. And what I was shown is that Gaia does want crystals to be discovered and for them to be released and to be used by people on Earth. They are a gift from her to Earth, and they live. They are every crystal has consciousness. And every rock has consciousness. I know this might be a new paradigm to you, a new concept to you, but And I would encourage you to feel into that, literally by picking up these things and asking them and talking to them just as you would any other conscious being. It's only really the denial of consciousness in something that is, damaging to us. But when we open up the possibility that anything in our lives has a degree of consciousness, then it's helpful, right? You can start to be more open-minded, open-hearted, and talk with it and be more responsible with it. So these are, guys calling them earth babies. So babies of the earth. She says, yes, please be responsible. So this is a message to us as a human race, to all of us as an audience, including myself, is please be responsible in the consumption of your crystals. And she's saying one guiding principle you can use is find out, do a little bit of research and find out what are the naturally occurring crystals in the area that you live in. It's good news, right? I don't know, although I don't know what it means for some of these different crystals. Now, just 1 second, I want to show you something really cool. So this is a gift. It's a core sample. This is a core sample from Louisa at the Scottish Geologist. And she's very famous on Instagram and also a fantastic client. And she gifted me this beautiful core sample. So I know this isn't from that far away from where we live. And what's wonderful about, it just feels so lovely, this, and it stays in the corner of my room. What's lovely about, researching more about your local rocks and crystals and stones is you start to feel more about why are you there? What relationship, what connection do you have as your soul, of your human heart, your body, your consciousness, with these beautiful souls as well? Let me put this back. I'm back. Just stays, always has to stay in the right place in my room. So when you feel into the natural occurring crystals in the area and rocks, it's so important to just feel the connection between the two and how you can work with them. And it's not always obvious to us why we live where we live. There are, years and like 8 years ago when I first went through my awakening, I felt like there was maybe one of me, like one awakened John, if you like, or a John that's been through an awakening in the UK. And then I started to gradually meet more people. And then when I discovered more people online on YouTube and in the US, it's like, this is great. There's loads of people. And you start, when you might feel alone on this journey. And I've certainly felt for months, if not years, alone. And still now I have a very small, group, a close group of friends, is that it's so important to know that you're placed. Your soul chose this lifetime and chose this location, this physical location for a reason, and that your big open heart has an order of magnitude. We've heard in previous videos, gratitude of around 400 hertz as a frequency of that emotion is, 26 times stronger than shame and fear, right? So your heart right now, just listening to this video, hopefully you're enjoying it still, is that you are resonating out this love energy, this excitement across the area that you live in. So the more you do that, even if you're not talking to people, going outside, doing any of those things, across this quantum consciousness first and energy first universe, you are resonating out this beautiful energy. So the crystals, the rocks that are being born in the area that you live are also placed there for a reason. And all I can say about mining, and this is a statement for mining in general, I was just shown, like, just be responsible humans. They're there for the taking, but take the ones that are closer to the surface, take the ones that are less destructive to mine. This will settle down. So do feel it's okay to buy crystals. This is just a trend that needs to start to settle down. And I feel the more we respect Gaia as one giant crystal, one giant earth. It's my favorite. Sorry, guys. I'm just talking to my crystals. Sorry, it's just the earth is much more of a favorite to me. As we feel into that more, we realize that, okay, this whole earth is one beautiful living being that we really need to look after the most. And then, yes, of course, all of her children. Okay, thank you so much. We're at just over 55 minutes. So I wanted to answer the next question. This is from Angie Gutierrez. Sorry, you've asked lots of questions, and you can see me struggle with names. Angie Gutierrez 223 says, "Does God," and you put in brackets, "source have and it says, 'Hi John, a personal army of angels.'" So does source have, that might be my copy and paste fault. Does source of God have a personal army of angels? Are angels the strongest of all? I dealt with an evil spirit that attacked me 2 nights in a row in my sleep. The following night, I was afraid to go to sleep. I thought, oh, hell no. I looked over my door and I saw a pure black rectangular shape. You could not see through it. And when I saw this, I dropped to my knees and called God's personal army. I said, "Usher the spirit out of my house." I watched it beat feet straight out of my front door. To think about it still scares me. Okay, thank you for this important question. Let me drink some water. Okay. So I'm going to ask, there's not many archangels I work with, and I don't consider myself religious, spiritual, but not religious, not aligned to any one religion. In fact, I must admit my knowledge of religions is not great. But let's ask Archangel Michael as I work with him, and I'd also and I'd like to invite forwards Source as well to help answer this question. So Source is saying, first of all, and I love the calm, precise words and energy of Source. First of all beings are equal. All beings are equal. All beings are equal. Okay, and let's hold that feeling of equality for a moment. So the temptation for us humans is to put God, or you might believe in Source, or you might believe in all the other names for different gods or deities. You know, there's just such a huge array and an expansive list of what us humans consider to be higher powers, higher forces. Source is saying to me right now that Source is equal to us. And this is important, right? And so much of that equality is because Source's message is, Source does not tell us what to do. You know, I don't wake up in the morning and go, I just check my email, check my YouTube comments, and then go, oh, I'll just ask Source. Source, what am I to do today? You know, and it's funny. I'm not trying to make any, you know, to joke about, you know, our super important beliefs in divine and higher aspects of this universe, and somewhat our human need to want, you know, we want to believe that there are higher forces, and it's true, there's higher vibrations, but they are our equals. And we spend, especially you see a lot in the spiritual and religious domains of humanity, that we constantly put external things outside of us on a pedestal. You know, oh, I spoke to Archangel Michael, or, oh, I spoke to Source, or all these things. And you hear me saying those things, but when I talk about higher aspects of this universe, higher vibration aspects, I still feel the equality. And remember, right at the very start, almost an hour ago, as we connect the center of our hearts into Source, the center of our hearts is source energy. Our souls are connected into source. We are in unity. So I just want to make that really clear. What is to help explain a bit more about this equality and how it's even possible in this universe is that every single being, including in this case Archangel Michael, and let's take myself, we're unique. I'm very different to him. We have different opinions. We have different superpowers, and some themes and overlaps. We both care dearly about this world. So I never compared myself to to an archangel before. I have the superpower of being a human right now, being here on Earth, my feet on the ground, and I'm here talking to you, and I'm doing this stuff. And I've not so far seen Archangel Michael attempt that. But what I do know is that he's incredibly gifted at helping us. And this comes to somewhat the definition of an archangel is, I feel, and when I channel Archangel Michael and talk with him, is that he tells me that he is an expression, an action, a conscious living being whose role it is to enact, to execute our free will, individually our free will. So in this case, Angie, when you came across something that was very low vibration, you called it evil in your message, and it's come and it's attacked you at nighttime. When you've called in an archangel, you've basically picked up, a hammer, right? And you've said, no, get out. And you've picked up that tool, if you like, as archangels that you've invited in, and then using, delegating to them, just like when we pick up a hammer, we delegate our own energy, our own force our energy travels through our body and then out to the tool that we're holding. It then takes an effect. So I hope that makes sense a little bit. And so the short answer is yes, there are archangels exist, and yes, there is a hierarchy to beings, but they're not about power or the human sense of a hierarchy. It is a vibrational hierarchy only. And I'll also just help expand on this a little bit more, which is right now, I have a chair right next to me here. Archangel Michael is not sat in that chair. He's not come to Earth. He's not helping me do my gardening today or do my bills or go to the shops. He's, busy being as Superman and Super Archangel and helping everyone around the universe execute their free will. And I'm here talking to you guys. And, a lot of archangels, a lot of very high vibration beings are scared of coming down here. They're scared of coming down into physical form, that they're scared of their souls coming into physical form because it is tough, right? And you watching this are very, very brave. So congratulations for coming down to Earth and coming here and being a human being on this planet and through this massive change. I do have if you go to my website and go to the meditations section, you'll see there's two 14-day challenges. Maybe I should have called them different things, but they're two 14-day challenges right at the top of the webpage. One is your the 14-day Spirit Guide meditation challenges. That was the first and original. They both still get updated. The other one, if you're on a desktop, is on the right-hand side of the page, is called the 14-day negative energy and entity clearing and protection, or removal and protection meditations. And they're fantastic. They include a lot of the most powerful free material that I've created to help protect you. And they're the same ones I use, or certainly the same practices and principles, plus some other things that I probably wouldn't always keep a little bit back from being public, just to help surprise your enemies, right? That try and attack you. is that I still do, regular basis, almost daily now. I'm doing protection rituals and in my meditations. So I hope that really helps you. And yeah, do keep up a strong, sovereign, excuse me. There's no way that wasn't coming out. Keep up a strong, sovereign barrier. Look out for what you're consuming. It's probably why some of my throat chakra was burping there, was because I've not been perfect at that. I was at the cinema last night watching a movie with my son, and it wasn't very high vibration. But we all make these conscious choices, and just know how these things affect you with what you choose, what you invite in, and what you decide you reject out of your space. And yeah, I definitely recommend my 14-day meditations to help you with that. And of course, one-to-one sessions. I also, as I mentioned last video, offer a negative energy and entity removal session. So keep an eye out for those services. Okay, so we're now at 1 hour and 5 minutes. And this next one is from Healing Vibes. You've said, not a new subscriber, just changed my handle on YouTube. Congrats on passing the 10K mark. Yay, woohoo, thank you. And you said, thank you to you and Gaia and your guides for the fascinating insight into how Gaia handles very big job here on Earth. That's right. Thank you, Gaia. I had a couple of questions about the ascension energy coming soon. Yes, this is a great question. Thank you. I know we all have what doctors call junk DNA in our bodies. The DNA appears to do nothing as far as we can tell. Is this being activated with new energy coming in? If so, what does it do for us? Is it a gradual thing or something that happens in a short amount of time? And Happy Patch likes his walks. Fun to watch him walking and exploring the earth. Also, please pass along your elemental guide, Maya, that it's amazing she's been around for so long. Yeah, she doesn't like talking about her age so much. The changes she has witnessed here on Earth must be astounding. She's seen what no one here has, at least not the full timeline. That's impressive. Thanks. Wow. And I just wanted to say, first of all, what a big thing I've learned on this journey is it's never about the answers that are the most important thing. It's the questions. This work, the thing I find the most exciting is the questions. Sometimes I feel I'm gifted these superpowers of, accessing all these things in the universe, but I just can't come up with the right questions. And so it's wonderful that you guys are here. So thank you. What a fantastic question. So I'm just going to open this question up to my spirit guides and Source and Gaia and the archangels and the sun we've invited in. So I'm just being shown a bit of a zoom into our DNA and the junk DNA. I'm just being shown a bit more detail than I've ever had. Okay, and my mantis guide, Marita, all these M's, that I'm just to take this really slowly. All right, so we've got plenty of time. I'm not in a rush. Let's explain this in a few steps. So first of all, our DNA is, created the sequences within our DNA there's a broader range of influences than just what we currently consider. So our modern science would tell us that it's a linear progression where, for instance, for me, my father's DNA, should be pretty similar to mine, that there's a mix with my mother's and so on, that these, we inherit our DNA, and it continues on through our lineages. There are other influences, okay? So one of them is our soul. Try and say that without swearing. And what our soul does is our soul's always looking for ways to remember our different abilities are different superpowers. And so through thousands of lifetimes, and I'm just getting these really beautiful, expansive messages as well. Throughout all our lifetimes, we have an opportunity to develop a superpower. So, for example, let's say that I'm developing a superpower right now, talking to you guys, and that in future lifetimes, less likely than the past, there's going to be more need for me to present on video or projections or, whatever it is that exists in the future. So what happens is, in this life, my soul is constantly remembering and storing within the DNA my superpowers as they are developed. Now, many of these superpowers are developed over many lifetimes. For example, my quantum energy healing, where I'm scanning people's chakras, removing negative energies and entities, and helping heal people, physical, metaphysical, energetically. That I've been doing that. I have conscious, I didn't do this in a private session or anything, or even in meditation. I remember being able to do a lot of that work back 30,000 years ago, which isn't, the historic timeline we have in the pyramids of Giza. And so this is, just one example of me as a soul constantly learning something and then storing that, the sequences, the DNA remembrances through my life. And then when my body returns to the earth, those remembrances are then released back to my soul. And when I reincarnate again, my soul can choose to bring in these superpowers. Now, it's not a how to describe it. It's not a clear and clean process. It requires a lot of practice, and it requires the soul to consciously want to develop superpowers, and also to select a lifetime where you want to activate your superpowers. And then for each individual incarnation, because as John, I get to decide, if and when I activate my superpowers. So this comes back to the remembrance. So a really simple term of remembering. So each of us are unique. Each of us have superpowers. Each of our superpowers are unique. And so this junk DNA is the storage of these superpowers. So as I was born into this life, only when I was 40 did I start to reactivate and redevelop my quantum psychic healing, my energy healing, and even the psychic work. And I'd had, not that long ago, previous lives of working on different planets and on different galactic federation ships as a seer, as using my third eye as my dominant sense. And this lifetime was very much, no, John, you've been too dominant in that one superpower. So this is my soul saying this, too dominant in that one superpower. Let's do a lifetime where that just slowly activates. It's kind of just there in the background, and it's relatively average. It doesn't feel relatively average now, but it's, and so allowing all these other superpowers that I have to come up to the forefront, and the third eye sight to step back a little bit. So in simple terms, that's what your junk DNA is. DNA is it's storage, it's remembrance of your own superpowers. And you've asked a bit about how they can be activated. So ascension waves that are flowing through the center of the sun, and they come from the sun into our hearts and into the heart of Mother Earth. What these are doing is starting to really excite. So they start to vibrate the supposed junk DNA, or superpower DNA within each of us. And each of our abilities, the journey to activating them is our own unique pace. So our own unique, as much as we're ready to receive. For some people, that's fast. For some of my superpowers, I would say mediumship, or being able to heal pets, or being able to, go from channeling spirit guides to then channeling Mother Gaia. Some of these things happen really fast, and they were just the smaller superpowers. Some of the bigger ones, perhaps prediction, you could say, they've been faster for me. And so much of this all depends on what we were saying earlier. Have a daily meditation practice. Take care of your body. Make sure your heart is open, nice and wide and open each day, but have strong sovereign boundaries around you and keep facing your fears each day. This is what dictates your ability. So your open heart dictates your pace of your superpowers being activated. There's no rush, right? You don't need them all right now. But know that if you can consciously invite them in, you can allow your superpowers to activate, you can ask your spirit guides to help you activate them, and ask in your daily meditations and feel them in your body, feel where they are in your body, where is the dominant chakra and physical air of your body. Right now I feel I'm talking from my heart, and my mind's deeply connected into my heart. So just allow these sensations and experiences to happen. And a top tip for activating superpowers is when something happens in your outside reality, celebrate it. Say, thank you. I saw you. I saw, a ghost, an apparition. I saw a shadow figure. I saw something in a tree, in the sky. Whatever it is that you've experienced, say thank you. Okay, we are at 1 hour and let's say 17 minutes. And this is another question from Angie. And Angie Gutierrez, 223, you've said, I want to talk about God, source. And since this has been stated a couple of times, I don't feel God and source are the same. But this is mainly because I feel that each of us experience our God, our source, or whatever name we give our divinity, if you like, uniquely. So I'm just encouraging you to have your own, belief system, and I tend to avoid trying to call them the same thing. You call yours what you want. You can call yours God. It's absolutely fine by me. I think we all might know there's a masculine divine, which he holds everything together. What about feminine divine? I understand we are both intelligent for the masculine and emotional for the feminine. Does divine feminine take form as a human woman? And it says, does she interweave by making her presence known? Is she the miracle worker? Is she the one people see and think it's Mother Mary, like in Fatima? Does she have a name? And I had an experience with her once. She gave me red flowers on a dead plant. It was really neat. And then says, thank you. Okay, so let's ask a bit more about this. I'm going to ask source. It seems like a good place to start. So, and any of my other guides can answer as well. So the first answer I get from source is there is not gender as we would define gender and within source. So source is both, if you like, and the reason source is explaining this to me is because the terms, the concepts, the human concepts of gender are restrictive. In that, because I'm not source, so I don't know all of what, source isn't quite telling me everything, but to explain that another way, there is more expansion to male and female, and not just the human concepts of all these other genders that we have in our world that we've defined. It's greater scope than that. So there's more for us to learn as a human race about masculine, pushing and doing, and feminine receiving. There is much more. There's much more to this. Okay. And also, so this is very interesting. Our souls are naturally, in human terms, they are naturally both male and female. So our souls are both. However, souls can identify however they choose. Souls can even identify sources saying, as a soul of a rock, or a soul that only ever wants to be rocks through all its incarnations, for example, or wants to be a specific gender. And that feels really, really beautiful. Souls get to decide. And just as us humans, we get to decide, right? Each of us get to decide what gender we are. I'm just going to go through some of those other questions. So, okay. And so a huge part, this is Mother Gaia stepping forwards. Gaia says a huge part of the shift in the earth is helping us remember receiving. Remember the power of divine feminine. So these are the aspects of source and the source within us and within our souls, and our souls within each of us is a remembrance of how powerful both the full spectrum of giving and receiving, masculine and feminine, how powerful together they are. And at the moment, we're still very male dominated. And so this feeling, and I hope you feel this in me as well, because I feel all the time I'm working more and more on receiving. And that's been a huge, it continues to be a big lesson in my life, is receiving, for example, more subscribers. I'm not pushing to create these videos for you. I'm opening up my heart to receive more and more questions and comments that I love so much, and opening up my heart to receive, and my solar plexus opening up to receive the abundance of you as subscribers connecting with my content and saying hello. I love it when you say hello in the comments. And as I'm opening up to receive this, I'm not actively going out and trying to get more subscribers. You guys are coming to me. So I'm now realizing excuse me, there goes my throat chakra. I'm now realizing that as I open up, I can receive an order of magnitude far more than I ever could have just pushing. And prior to this, in my software engineering career and of 26 years, and the last 8 years at Amazon, I was always push. And it served me well to deliver the limited things that I put my limited mind on. But when I started my business, this business of one, John Binney, Heart-Centered Wellness Limited, that I have no idea how expansive this will become. I just know that I know my mission. I'm here to help support, and I'm constantly working to be able to receive more and to allow that friction to release. Instead of me clinging on to expectations and clinging on to how this is going to happen. And these prediction videos are a huge example of that, right? It's a big evolution, an exploration into something I love doing. And I'm grateful to be able to receive all your beautiful love and support and comments and shares and subscriptions. It's so kind. Thank you. And bookings as well. Thank you for your bookings as well, your one-to-one bookings. So yes, you could argue, and I have lovely past life and this life experiences with Mother Mary, Mother Gaia, and a huge predominantly my spirit guide team are female, and most of my friends are female, and a lot of you guys, I think over something like at least 60% of you are female. If I was to trust my YouTube analytics, I feel it's actually a lot higher. Is that there's this shift in the world to learning to receive more. If we're not really taught it very well when we're younger, especially in our Western societies where, you're told to work hard and get an education, and working hard will bring you success. And then, you push, and then you receive. You do step A, and then you get B back as a reward. Whereas actually what you really want is to be able to do step A and then receive B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And so much of this, a bit like creating a YouTube video, is creating this big, investment in energy and putting it out to the world, and then just opening up to receive, just saying, okay, guys, go crazy, and enjoy it. So I feel that's a huge shift that we're going through in the world. And yeah, definitely a huge rebalancing. Okay, thank you for that. We're at 125. And this next question is from Ricky Boranch. How do I learn more about and connect with the Galactic Federation if it serves my highest good? Fantastic. So let me ask. Okay, so my spirit guide, Mantis spirit guide Marita, who's a member of the Galactic Federation, she says the doors are always open to join the Galactic Federation. So humans can join the Galactic Federation, which is cool. I would, because she's now just explaining to me a bit more, which is her other reaction is, it is not the only council or federation or group. You'll hear people, psychics doing work connecting with extraterrestrials, our galactic brothers and sisters, and using terms such as the Arcturians, which is an entire race, right, and beyond just one planet. Or they might be talking about the Pleiadian Council or the Reptilian Council or Federation of Andromeda. There's just all these different clubs, right? You can join, and some have their own criteria, like you need to have had an incarnation or your current incarnation within a specific planet or galactic race. They all get to decide, right? And the Galactic Federation is not the boss of these. There is no hierarchy to these. And there's been times where in our history, going back a couple of years, that the Galactic Federation, although it's a cool name, right? It's so advisory that and is so open to receiving beings from across the universe that it makes it more challenging for any reasonably organized group of beings to take action. And so sometimes this is why these smaller groups form, is because they can more accurately represent a planet or a species, and then come together and take actions. So I just wanted to make that clear that you don't need to join the Galactic Federation, but I'm guessing the fact that you're asking about it, that you feel a connection about the Galactic Federation. And so to Marita was explaining to me, my Mantis guide was explaining to me about, yes, the doors are open. So the way that she's showing me how I joined was when is in dream time. So just before you go to sleep at night, place your hand on your heart, ask your spirit guides. So you say out loud, say, spirit guides, I would like to visit the Galactic Federation, please, with a view to joining or deciding whether I join and help. And that's it. So then you go to sleep. It all sounds so simple, right? And that's good. Just remember that John Binney's personal opinion is that the simpler these things are, the more likely they are real, the more likely they are true. I don't feel truth is ever complex. And so when you go to sleep at night, what starts to happen is you'll start to travel in dream time. And this is more your consciousness going and jumping up through the fourth dimension and stepping up into a Galactic Federation ship and visiting a place. They do tours. You can take a look around. You can experience the different beings there. You can walk down corridors and say hello to the other beings as you pass. You may even recognize some of the souls as being souls that are here on Earth. Friends, family, loved ones, people that you've connected with on the internet. And then you'll also get the option to then join in different missions if that's something that you want to. And they start small, like training and practice stuff. A lot of that happens in the fourth dimension. And then you'll start to do, if you like that, you'll start to go on and do actual missions. So a lot of the missions I've been doing for years has been going to down to fourth dimensional Earth and help clear it up, removing any negative energies and entities, and really helping support a viable space for us to step up through on our way to, as a planet, to the fifth dimension. Now, the way I describe all that sounds very conscious. Lightly, most of us won't remember this, right? We'll have asked before we go to sleep at night, but won't really remember it. Some of the key signs to look out for are waking up tired. I had 8 hours sleep, but I feel even more tired than the night before. So that's one possibility, that you've been busy doing a tour or a mission. The second is having flashes, glimpses of what you were doing, or connecting with someone. Perhaps you meet with someone online. You're connecting with their content. You're talking to them. Maybe you're DMing someone. You're messaging them, and you realize that you're starting to get flashbacks of things you've done together, and that it doesn't feel that it's a past life, but feels otherworldly. It feels ethereal. So these are opportunities to start to feel into. And then you can ask, so before you go to sleep as well, and when you wake up in the morning, ask your spirit guides, say, spirit guides, please help me remember my dreams. Spirit guides, please help me remember my Galactic Federation experiences. And as I say this, I do feel that you're, Ricky Barancher, near the beginning of that journey. So that's fantastic, and keep that up. Okay. So the next one, we're at 1 hour and 32 minutes. We don't have many more. Not to say that I couldn't just talk for a long time, of course, because I do love this. And it's a quiet day for me otherwise. I love this. This is from Pandora Rupert Bolt, YS4TY. And it says, I love this practice about fear. Yet what if our work is causing fight or flight fear, and it's 16 hours a day at work? That would schedule myself 16 hours a day to feel through it. This part I'm confused on. Lol. You may say, find another job. Lol. Which I have tried physically and connecting with the frequency that work out for the better than imagined. Yet, crickets. Is this something you can help with in a one-to-one session? I will practice the Rose 4F technique. I think maybe 4F is an emoji badly copy and pasted. Is that helpful while in the middle of fear for 18 hours? Thanks. Okay, let's get some water. So the closest I have to a human spirit guide, my spirit guide, Maya, is an earth elemental. She's saying, so first of all, remember when I was, if you rewind me back 7 years, I was a senior software manager in Amazon working 10 to 12 hours a day, not your 16 hours a day. And I was just in super stress, and I was on the edge of burnout and anxiety. And a lot of people around me were going through that and just pushing themselves far too hard in a culture that wasn't bullying me to do that, but it was definitely cultivating that within me. And I always felt lack of self-worth, and I always felt that I wasn't good enough, and I kept pushing myself harder and harder and harder. And so you need to create, if you want to come out of that 16 hours a day of fear at work, then you need to create each day an increasing number of minutes over time, maybe even every day, an increasing number of minutes where you're not in fear, right? So, and it sounds so simple. So this is why my spirit guides my 14-day spirit guide meditations are about 10 or 15 minutes each. And it's also, I feel, in part why they're visualized, like they're a whole series of steps that, I created as I guided myself through. And I feel guilty. Initially I just got up 10 minutes earlier or 20 minutes earlier so that I had time to do the meditation, and repeating that practice every day. So investing that time in yourself every day, what it creates is an oasis of calm, right? So you do 10 to 15 minutes of a John Binney or develop your own meditation practice, whatever you want to do, where you've got strong sovereign boundaries, you've got a nice big open heart. And for those 10 minutes, you are happy. You are feeling good. Now, I know that there's still the 16 hours ahead of you after that that's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough. But you've already shifted the ratio of fear to love by, from 24 hours of fear to 23 hours and 50 minutes of fear and 10 minutes of love, right? And the love energy, so forgetting the minutes, for example, love energy is exponentially larger, over 26 times stronger than that fear energy. So that's also why I do it first thing in the morning. Is I come away from my 10 minutes of meditation, I'm like, hi, it's John. And today in meditation, I feel so calm and relaxed. And that energy bleeds throughout the day. This love energy just resonates out throughout my day. And even in the times I get more stressed throughout the day, and I get more kind of wound up and, anxious or stressed by interactions with others and what's going on in the world, that anchored point at the beginning of the day, just the 10 minutes, has already made a huge difference. And then when you're ready, keep increasing more time. So add more time each day. Maybe if you get a break at all in the 16 hours a day, or if you don't actually get any breaks, you'd go, whenever you go to the toilet, the restroom, you'd take 3 deep breaths in, do a shortened version. So take a deep breath in through the nose and breathe out anything that no longer serves your eyes. Good. Perhaps shake it off, shake your hands down by your sides and shake it off into earth. One breath can make can make a big difference, right? So these are a great start. Of course, you can book a one-to-one session. If you want me to help transform your career and life, then I have still a relatively new service for that, and it's called the Heart Aligned Business Mentoring. It works just as well for transforming your career. So feel free to book me for that. Okay. Thank you for your question. And just in case you're wondering, that's how I got here, was starting meditating every day. I started to add an hour of music each day. So that was like another, like spending more time in my joy each day. It really put pressure on the rest of my work. And it made me realize that I don't like my work as much as, it creates this huge contrast. That I could feel every day how different those experiences are at either end of the spectrum of my happiness. And so what I started to do was, eventually I went part-time for the last 2 years at Amazon. And then eventually, I plucked up enough courage and was brave enough and prepared enough. And I left. And so much of it is you have to be ready for it. The recent forest walk I did with Patch, where we're talking to fungi and trees and rocks, etc. These fey beings, I don't think we spoke to rocks. These experiences really drove the healing I needed to do first before I could leave. And then because if you leave and you're not ready, you can end up repeating the fear cycle. So it's really about breaking through the fear cycle first and then changing that will very naturally, and you can consciously as well change your life. Okay, 1 minute 40, sorry, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 hour and 40. So let's see. We just have a couple of questions left. Can you explain the swapping of the North and South Pole? Sounds major. How will that work? Sounds scary. Thanks. A new subscriber from New Zealand. Welcome from Yul Call. Welcome to Yul Call. And thank you for your question. I just disappeared for a quick comfort break. I'm back. We're talking about the pole swapping. So let me just ask a bit more about this. And I'd love to ask Gaia, Mother Gaia, and also my spirit guides. So Mother Gaia says, remember the message we heard towards the beginning of today's session, which is that this earth is going through changes, that being shaken up, purging to allow us to rise up into a world, into higher vibrations that has the highest good, love and compassion of all. And so first of all, she was showing me the shaking, so the shaking of the earth. And she says, she's telling me the same intention that she had last time we asked, which is that there will be shifts, so a swap of north and south magnetic poles, and then shift back. And they are significant changes. We've not really experienced it, right, through modern science or through modern history. And she's showing me that what will happen is that when she does decide to do it, and she's showing me a much longer time frame. So starting to see 3-5 years time. And I don't know what time, I can't remember what time frame we were shown before. Feel free to add in the comments. That's the current journey she's saying. And she says if she'll do it when she needs to, and it feels to me that flip is in oscillation is this reset. So it's a global reset. Now it does sound scary, right? These terms that we use, global reset, and feeling some of that in the back, that some of these tinglings on the back of my head, wondering about my brain, getting a bit anxious and wondering about all the different things that means, and all the various potentially cataclysmic experiences that we may have. It's not that dramatic. So it's not to play it down. It's just that we modern humans don't really understand what happens when you have a pole shift. So that she says it's much more like a human. So if she was in human form, it's similar to a human going upside down. So if you hang yourself upside down, I have like a pull-up bar outside of my garden, and sometimes I hang upside down it. In fact, if you search hard enough, you'll find a YouTube video of me playing guitar upside down in it. She doesn't like being that way up. She feels Earth as a body is aligned with north and south the way it is. And that when that flipping of upside down goes, what it really helps do is release any blockages between our chakras. And she's showing me the flow of her Kundalini energy. So the beautiful energy flowing through between our chakras and across her meridians, the ley lines, the nervous system, the veins of the earth. And I'm just going to ask, what are some of these potential changes? So first of all, she says she will give warning before she does this, and she'll seek times when it affects us the least. And one of the things we have, I'm guessing you guys do this as a fellow human, which is when you're worried about one thing and you're worried about the second thing, you assume that they're both going to happen at the same time, or that they're going to overlap somehow. And so Gaia is saying, for example, she will have let this wave of ascension, pass and fall more into, this is why it's a 3 to 5 years time frame at the moment. It's because she wants to reach a period of calm before she then does a quick shake up. And so let me ask about any of the potential challenges we'd see. She says the biggest effect is on the oceans, and in particular, around our equator, we have because of the way our magnetic poles work, we have a raised kind of waistline around the equator of water. She says this gets shaken up the most when she does a pole shift. She says, yes, humans could be disrupted. They might get confused. She says animals, for instance, birds, whales. I'm not sure what modern science really thinks of all that, but how all these living things navigate through the North and South Pole navigation, said that they're not really disrupted because, or as much as humans, technology, because animals, etc., rely much more on contextual awareness of the ley lines, the magnetic energy of the Earth in their local area as much as they do the North and South Pole. So just because someone goes into your living room and goes into your house and swaps the front door and back door, you totally know they've done it, right? It's like, oh, it's the same house. I guess it's the same house, but the front and back door are different. And so I'm going to come in one way and go out the other, but the rest is all the same. And then a disruption that causes, she'll do her best to minimize. She said, it's not to never say never, and never to play something down, to acknowledge that these are scary things. And yes, they do happen, and they're entirely possible, if not likely, within the next 3 to 5 years. However, humanity will receive warnings through people like me, raising awareness of these things as they get closer to the time. And a lot of it's just about supporting our, for instance, GPS technologies, our software, say, hey, it's okay for the North and South to flip temporarily. This is the recovery, or these are the alternatives you can use, such as triangulation of, mobile phone towers or whatever it is we're using in those times, or satellites or whatever. Okay, so I hope that helps you. The next question now, I'd stopped and started the video, so I've lost track of the minutes. So these are just the last ones. So I'm just going to say it's plus 7 minutes. And the next one is from the same person, Yokol, from New Zealand, new subscriber. I'm being nudged to let go of things and people that don't serve me. I feel unsettled and unsure. I also feel like I need to let go of eating meat. What do you guys say and source say about eating meat on this evolving spiritual path? Okay, so let me ask. So the first part is yes, let go of people that don't serve your highest good. And an easy test of this is avoid dimming your light around others. Tell others how you feel. You don't need to impose your feelings or beliefs on others. And that's certainly made, whenever I've done that in relationships, especially my older relationships, things just become much more kind of murky and difficult. For example, if I said, I don't eat, beef or chicken or really animal meat, I eat fish. If I start preaching to people and saying, don't eat these other animals, or just really ramming it down people's throats, it's not very helpful. But I wouldn't go to a restaurant and only ever order, fish and vegetable meals, and then just hide the fact that I'd actually given up the decision to eat most meats. So this is just be yourself around others and tell them your truth, but you don't need to kind of force what is likely, and another big challenge I feel we have, a bit like these, themes in this couple of hours that we've been on together, is that the more we do this work and we explore this ever expanding view of reality and consciousness, we're constantly integrating new concepts and ideas. And it makes it very difficult to, or more of a challenge to share these often mind-blowing, mind-bending concepts with people when someone is, fully closed down and fully only believing about what, their mainstream media or their modern science would tell them. And even then, they're not really keeping up to date with it, or, not really aware of what's going on in quantum physics or whatever it is. So people that have entrenched and constrained views, it is much more difficult, right? Um, and so I'd encourage you to let go. Let them go and let them come back to you. I experienced in my first few years things like, oh, how come, I experienced these feelings of why don't you invite me to your parties anymore? It's like, well, I'd stopped drinking, and I think part of them felt like they didn't think that I would enjoy it. That's okay. And I remember a few times I'd got annoyed. It's like, well, how come you never invite me anymore? And they're like, oh, I didn't think you wanted to come anymore. You seemed more into that spiritual stuff and less into to drinking and partying. So these are things to just feel into and allow them to naturally fall away. There's a very natural purging and process to this. Keep friends that feel like they really resonate and support you. Keep friends that are intrigued, by you. They support you. You come away from the conversations not feeling embarrassed or shameful in any way, or feel like you're having to hide and dim your light, but more that you feel expansive and excited, and people that fuel you, that you feel excited, even if they're not into any of the spiritual psychic stuff, right? It's absolutely fine. In terms of eating meat, so there's this theory called stone tape theory. And so if you take a stone or a crystal, and the same happens with water. In fact, it happens with anything physical, is that if you project into it negative energy, then it'll be stored within there. And I keep forgetting the name of the scientist who's famous for the experiments with water. I'm sure you'll be telling me now in the comments and reminding me. But for example, sending love to a glass of water every day, and then sending pain and fear to another glass each day, you can look under a microscope and see the difference, how the water crystals are different shapes and different patterns, and that's because they're storing that energy. So the same happens when we have meat, right? If we kill a being, an animal, traumatically, then the energy of that trauma, and it can go, that treatment can go right back to the first time they were born, right? You think of a battery farmed chicken, is that if you have a traumatic life, that energy is stored within the meat. And so when you consume that meat, you consume that traumatic energy. I don't know about you, but I've got enough. I've got enough trauma in my life than digesting it from another being, and actually, me contributing to their death just because I'm buying the product, buying their meat. So this is just something you get to decide, right? And I do feel that, for instance, if I was put in a situation where I had to kill an animal to eat, I would. And also, if I had a pet animal, not you, Patch, I'm not going to eat you. But let's say I had a pet cow, I'd be much more likely to if I was to eat meat, to take that cow on the whole cycle, right? And I'd rather consume something that I'd killed than something that I just paid for. There is a bit of a compromise for me, which is they call it being pescatarian, right? So eating fish. And for me, that was just it's a choice, right? A lot of people do choose to go vegan, raw vegan even. Everyone gets to choose. There's no right or wrong. And you might be a bit triggered by some of my comments about meat and storing the energy. You can also do things. There's a video that I created called, I think it's Psychically Scanning Food. That video is about an hour long, and it's a meditation practice. And we do also we can send love, energy into what you're about to consume and help clear out any negative energy. And then as well as that, there's also the karma that you may accrue. So karmic debt you may accrue from contributing to the death of another being against its free will, and consuming its meat. So I do feel there's clearly a natural order. The natural order of the planet is for us to eat meat, to eat vegetables, and to do so responsibly. And I do feel that uh, when we accrue, when we do it irresponsibly, we do accrue some form of karma. So I used to eat meat up until about the age of 40, 42. So likely in that time, I'd accrued karmic debt to pay back. How that's paid back, I feel, is an individual experience for us. Hang on, I'm going to sneeze. I managed to mute just in case, just in time. So yeah, just really feel into that journey for you. And I was having this really fascinating conversation with a friend yesterday, which was, they Googled to see, how many burgers you can get from a single cow, and it's thousands. And then for something like a chicken, for a popular fast food chicken place, it's a chicken wing, right? Or it's really that bird has to arguably die, and really it felt like the six chickens go into this bucket of what I'm consuming, and it's even if they're the same animal or individual animals, they were saying they felt much more guilty about eating that many compared to just 1,000th or a 2,000th of a cow, and I don't have all the answers, right, to how karma works, and I do feel that's part of this universal law of karma, is that it's not a point system that you can granularly unpick, because if you could, you could do all kinds of horrible things to each other and then go, oh well, that's less points than this, karmic points than this, so I'll do this instead of that. So really, this is something you have to feel into. It's okay if you eat meat. People that are eating meat will ascend, right? But just be aware of everything that you can consume. And the other thing that I was shown a few days ago was feel into the future. So what is the future you eat? And I'm a little bit resistant to the future me. The future me doesn't drink coffee, does drink more, so it does eat more vegetables and drink some more kind of smoothies, green in particular smoothies. So these are things that I'm feeling into, like, well, I still enjoy a lot of coffee, and although I've only had half of one this morning, I do enjoy a lot of these things first. So there's a journey to that, but be aware of, that feeling of that happier, higher vibration version of you in the next 3 to 5 years. What do they consume? And feel into that, and just go on a journey towards it, right? And make the most of these lower vibration foods that you have access to just now. Okay, we're now plus 18 minutes. Okay, and this next question is from Ziliak Balansky Sellers, 1053. Thank you. I'd very much like to hear about the relationship of Gaia to the sun. This is so cool. This could be another video. Yeah, please do ask me more about this subject. So let me ask, first of all, the sun. I'm being shown the sun was born before the planets, and that the sun is the parent to the planets in our solar system. And this includes any planets that come into the solar system, so adopted planets and moons. And it feels that our moon is very much, I know there's loads of theories about our moon, but the sun is saying the moon did join our solar system a bit later on in the journey. And there is a deep connection, a soul level connection between the sun and earth, between the sun, Ra soul, and Gaia, the earth soul. And their cores, their heart chakras in particular, are connected. And it is similar to an umbilical cord energy that runs between the two. And this is one of the conduits through which they directly transfer energy to each other. So I know we know a lot about what goes on the outside, Well, we think we do. We're always learning a bit more about what goes on the outside of the earth energetically. We know that the heart, same as the human heart, the heart is the biggest impact of this toroidal field, this big energetic field that exists around our human forms, and it's the same for Earth, and it's the same for the sun as well. And that they are partners, and that they're working through this ascension together. It's funny talking about the relationship, because this is new to me. Gaia and the sun are saying they also know each other from previous lifetimes together. So they have incarnated together before, and they've even been in partnerships together, which is wonderful. So there's a very close, loving bond between the sun and Gaia. And I know that those that propagate fear against you, against us, will try and tell you or imply that the sun is going to destroy the earth. No, it's not. We're not going to get killed by our parent. And these are we're not just rocks. We're not just one big rock spinning around a big fiery ball in space, and that they're just haphazardly, randomly influencing each other and affecting each other. That's often how our current science sees this, because our science hasn't yet stepped into the more conscious aspect of these planetary bodies. And yet some concepts do exist, right? We know that modern science could determine whether a planet is alive or not, whether its internal processes are still active, whether there's life on the planet. And yet this is all born from consciousness. It's not just a bunch of, physical processes happening. If you want to know more about that, please feel free to ask, and we can go into more detail. And hopefully you've heard a bit more already through today's video. And I'm just about to run out of battery, so I think I'm gonna have to skip these last two ones and save them for the next video. So for Mary Ann RS and Miss Vicky 9381, I will follow up yours in another video. So thank you so much, everyone. We've been on about, I'm not sure the total time, but it must be around a couple of hours. So thank you so much. Thank you for all your love and support. And I'd just like to bring our session to an end, thanking our guides, our higher selves, our archangels, Source and Gaia, closing down our session space, return to Source, or to never return here again. Please, you can remain in your individual protected space for as long as you choose. Get plenty of water, drink, get plenty of rest, and take good care of your bodies. I will be back again. I'm back live on Monday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, 4:30 p.m. UK time. I'll be on with Viviani doing servicing your requests live. We're on Mondays and Thursdays, so looking forward to that. But take good care of yourselves, get plenty of rest, and keep a nice, big, open heart. Thank you so much. Oh, and the final phrase, if you watch right to the end of the video, is, I would love a world of peace and harmony. I would love a world of peace and harmony. Thank you so much. Sending love from Scotland. I'd love a world of peace and harmony. Sending love.